Here's a social radar is a great tool, and I'm using it to analyze Satay's The Kiss of Life over a year's period of time. I ran the query, and this is what I got so far. One of the things I really like about Social Radar is the topics breakdown. It's fantastic, and a lot of times, if you've done a good search, you'll get very interesting results. As you can see, Love Good, Us Never Song is something that kind of interesting, but you really wouldn't even see it in most of the other monitoring platforms that I've seen. And even look at the sources of my dream. Very interesting. Trends can be shown in a number of ways using Social Radar. The default is share of voice, but actually they can do the number of mentions. And let me hold on. If we do that, we get what is the total, what they say, unnormalized results. But if we switch it back to share of voice, you'll see the chart changes somewhat. So there are distortions and differences. Also, you can break down by conversation or sources. Although I'm not 100% sure. Well, it doesn't look like there are many sources there. Okay. So the analytics of Social Radar are kind of interesting because you have an option of determining just how hard, or how fast you want the algorithm to run. You can go by sentiment, relevance, percentage of posts, total appearances, or rank, and you can also look at this here: normal analysis, more analysis, most analysis. You can do grouping, which is auto, or day, week, and month. So you've got a number of options here, and you can look at the positive and negative sentiment. Although I do admit that it's a little hard for me to understand exactly what I'm looking at when I see it that way. You've also got countries. I don't know. I guess you can highlight the various influencers in each country and go down to the influencers and then look at their posts, if that's what you do. We're looking again at Saturday the Kiss of Life. If you look at any one of these, it'll actually give you a result. It'll give you the source and the trends for that source, which I actually think is pretty good, to be honest with you, as well as the timeline of the thing, even, so it's kind of, pretty powerful. Categories are your typical, channel breakdowns by blogs, microblogs, forums, and images. I can move this around to get the screen a little bit better to get everything. But at the end of the day, nice but basic there. Nothing really to write home about, but this does what it needs to do. The posts we've already gone over. It's basically a total listing of all the posts, and you can kind of see all of this, and I think it goes back now for the whole year. If we want to look at influencers, however, I think we have, I think one of the better, I would say Social Radar is one of the better of the platforms for influencers, because I think it actually does do a good job, and I've actually tested it on things that I know about and found that it does seem to pick up what I think is important when I look at it in the context of my own life. I can't answer to what it will pick up in context to something I know nothing about or haven't really written a good query for. Social Radar's most famous feature is it's what they calls its visualizer, and honestly, this has got to be one of the most colorful visualizations I've seen. You can kind of zoom in and out. I'm going to zoom in here to see. Looks like the balls are shaking, and I can't really understand why they're circling around each other as the horses of my dreams. I think they're galloping away here. I think all of the lines together really here shows that there's a lot of interconnected sites that are linking to each other. And I suppose that would make sense, since a lot of these videos are, seen by a lot of people and linked back and forth. But I've seen many of the other queries I've done that don't have any interlinking lines at all. So Bitches Love Soup, Katie's Blue Soup. I mean, I think there's a lot of interesting things here. I'm still trying to understand how to use this, but it's very interesting and a lot of options about how you can spread and move around stuff. And then, and the final thing really is the gender identification as part of their labs feature, and it breaks down. It says that there's 2/3 males versus 1/3 females looking at this stuff, and that there's been definitely a trend. Well, I guess there was more females during certain times. It just kind of makes you wonder what that's all about. But that's interesting. Social Radar. Social Radar has a number of other features here, such as watch lists, where you can, really create your own sources. If you want to create a query and then get a collection of sites and then figure out which ones to get rid of, you can sort of, I think this is an area where some people should really spend a lot more time than they do in really getting the sources right. Then you can run all of these different queries that we just showed you and tools against specific sources, which I think have more value. You'll probably get a lot better results if you do this. Also, there's a workspace and query editor. I haven't really used this, so I can't really speak to it. There's a source search, which I'm not actually sure what that does, and then there's news and help and documentation. But I would say, getting and the reports itself, there's also just the basic reports, which can show you the reports that you've saved. And then if you really go back to Social Radar, to the name, you can really start a whole new search again, and here are some of them that I've saved. But I would say of the platforms I've used, I've actually found that Social Radar is becoming quickly one of my favorite, precisely because it does this categorization and topic stuff, and the influencer stuff is pretty damn good. So that's Marshall Sponder. My Sponder meter is way up on Social Radar, and and this is a platform I would say I would recommend as one to use. And it's Marshall Sponder from socialmediaanalyticsbook.com and webmetricsguru.com. Bye.